In this message we shall explore the 6 unmistakable signs that call us to keep quiet when we have been wronged, signs that teach us the divine art of restraint, the power of silent dignity, and the victory that comes not from the clash of words, but from the calmness of a heart at rest. There is a sacred battle that takes place in the quiet chambers of the heart when disrespect is thrown like a stone into the still waters of your soul. You feel it immediately, a sharp sting, a burning ache, an indignation that rises like smoke from the depths of your being. The spirit within you is stirred. The rawness of the insult calls forth a response that your flesh demands to unleash. Yet, in that very moment, when the blood is quickened and the emotions swell, you find your tongue held in check, as if an unseen hand has gently restrained your words. This is no ordinary hesitation. It is the whisper of wisdom, telling you that silence is your safeguard. How easy it would be to give voice to the pain, to release the flood of words that seek to justify, defend, or retaliate. But here, in this pause, is a divine invitation to exercise restraint. The tongue, wild and unruly when allowed to speak in the heat of offense, can tear down what years of patience and love have built. To tame the tongue when the spirit is stirred is not a sign of submission. It is the mark of a soul that has learned the cost of reckless words. It is the hand of maturity that steadies the voice, and the heart's quiet courage that chooses peace over the clamor of pride. This internal restraint is often mistaken for weakness by the world, but let us be clear, the silence of the humble is a power greater than the loudest shout. It is a fortress erected in the soul's deepest place, a sanctuary where peace takes refuge while the storms rage outside. Those who have mastered this art know that words spoken in the heat of passion rarely heal. They often deepen wounds and set the heart further astray. To stay quiet when your spirit is stirred is to protect the delicate treasure of your inner peace, to guard it from the corrosive acid of anger and bitterness. Moreover, this silence after disrespect is a testimony of self-restraint and spiritual discipline. It reveals a heart that is anchored not in its own fleeting feelings, but in a greater understanding of the power of restraint. When you hold your tongue amid provocation, you demonstrate a mastery over self that speaks louder than any angry retort could. This quiet strength disarms the one who meant to provoke, for it denies them the reaction they sought. It turns away the arrows of insult and lets them fall harmlessly to the ground. Finally, beloved, when your spirit is stirred but your tongue is tamed, you are walking a path of victory that few can endure. You are choosing the harder road, the road of patience, silence, and inner fortitude. But it is on this road that true honor is found. For it is not the loudest voice that carries the day, but the calm, quiet spirit that refuses to be dragged into the mire of disrespect. In your silence you are proclaiming that your worth is not defined by others' offenses, but by the dignity with which you carry yourself amidst them. When disrespect falls upon you like a sudden storm, it is not merely a test of patience, but a battleground where the enemy's cunning lies in wait. Anger, though a natural flame that burns within the soul when wronged, can quickly become a snare. There is a subtle but deadly trap set for those who respond in wrath, the trap of being drawn into a cycle of retaliation, bitterness, and spiritual defeat. The wise heart senses this treachery beneath the surface of anger, knowing that to strike back in rage is to fall into the enemy's hands, surrendering the victory that silence and restraint would secure. This trap is dressed in many disguises. It whispers lies that you must defend your honor at all costs, that silence is weakness, that responding fiercely will restore your dignity. But these are deceits designed to provoke you into a reaction that fuels discord and deepens the wound. When you feel the surge of anger rise, take heed. This is not simply an emotional response, but a spiritual ambush. The enemy delights in seeing you snarl back, for every harsh word spoken in anger is a foothold gained against your peace and testimony. Recognizing this trap requires a keen spiritual discernment. It is the quiet voice in your soul that warns you against hastiness, that bids you to consider the consequences before you give voice to your fury. The discerning soul knows that anger left unchecked breeds destruction, like a fire that consumes everything in its path. It ruins relationships, taints reputations, and sows seeds of regret. To sense this trap is to be granted a divine insight, a call to step back, to breathe, and to let the fury pass without allowing it to dictate your actions. Anger in the face of disrespect is a natural instinct, but responding to it wisely is a higher calling. It requires the strength to reject the immediate urge for revenge, and to instead embrace a posture of measured silence. This is no easy task, for the flesh cries out for justice, for retaliation, for the satisfaction of returning blow for blow. Yet the soul that is guided by wisdom understands that victory is not always won in the loud clash of words, but often in the quiet endurance of insult without answer. Furthermore, this sign teaches us that anger, when harnessed rightly, can be transformed into a source of strength rather than destruction. It is not the feeling of anger itself that is evil, but what we do with it. To sense the enemy's trap is to choose to master your emotions rather than be mastered by them. It is to turn away from the bait of provocation and to instead channel your energy into calm reflection, prayer, or purposeful action. The victory lies in controlling the tongue when the heart burns with indignation. The wisdom of staying silent after disrespect is a testimony to a spirit that refuses to be enslaved by fleeting emotions. It declares that your peace is too precious to be squandered in battles that serve only to magnify strife. When you withhold your anger and refuse to fall into the enemy's trap, you demonstrate a power greater than the insult itself. You show that your worth is not determined by the wounds others inflict, but by the strength with which you hold your peace amidst them. Lastly, beloved, this sign is a call to vigilance. The enemy is relentless in seeking to provoke us to ruin, but by recognizing the trap in your anger, you are already one step ahead. Guard your heart diligently, restrain your tongue, and walk the narrow path of silent strength. For it is in this place of quiet victory that God's power is made perfect, and your testimony shines brightest in a world quick to speak but slow to listen. There is a profound transformation that takes place within the soul when disrespect cuts deep, and yet the voice chooses silence. This transformation is born of a realization far greater than momentary satisfaction. It is the recognition that peace is a treasure far richer than the fleeting victory of pride. In the face of insult, the natural inclination is to defend, to assert, to prove oneself right and others wrong. Yet the soul that walks in wisdom soon learns that such pursuits often cost far more than they are worth. The price of pride is paid in fractured relationships, restless nights, and a weary heart. To choose peace over pride is to step onto a path less traveled, for the world cries out to protect its honor at all costs. The proud spirit demands acknowledgment, refuses to be slighted, and insists on a voice loud enough to be heard. But the one who understands the value of peace sees beyond the noise of the moment. They perceive that a quiet heart, even amid offense, is a wellspring of strength. Such a heart refuses to be ruffled by every slight, refusing to give the enemy a foothold in the chaos of prideful retort. When peace becomes your pursuit, silence takes on a sacred role. It becomes not a sign of weakness or indifference, but a deliberate choice to preserve harmony within and without. This is not the peace that comes from the absence of conflict alone, but a deeper, more abiding tranquility, a peace rooted in self-control, humility, and a trust in a higher order. It is the calm in the storm, the steady hand that refuses to strike out in anger, and the quiet voice that says, "This insult shall not define me." This sacred peace is often forged in the crucible of trial. When you have been wronged, the flesh demands restitution, but the Spirit knows that rushing to defend pride often fans the flames of discord. The peaceful soul understands that responding in silence is a form of victory far greater than any shouted defense. It is the refusal to let offense dislodge your tranquility, the conscious act of guarding your inner calm against the tempests of insult. Moreover, this choice is a testimony to a maturity that few possess. To set peace above pride requires a heart that values relationships over reputation, humility over haughtiness, and grace over grievance. It is a spirit that measures its worth not by the approval of others, but by the peace that resides within. Such a soul walks a narrow road, but one that leads to lasting honor rather than fleeting acclaim. Choosing peace over pride is also an act of courage. It takes great strength to stay quiet when the world expects you to defend yourself fiercely. It takes bravery to silence the urge to argue back, to resist the temptation to prove your point at all costs. But this courage is the hallmark of true strength. The strength to endure wrongs without retaliation, to bear insult without bitterness, and to live above the petty squabbles that ensnare so many. In the silence that follows disrespect, peace does not mean passivity. Rather, it is a deliberate, powerful stance that protects the heart from destruction. It is the fortress that guards your soul, allowing you to navigate the storm without losing your way. This peace enables you to rise above the clamor of offense, and to respond, when the time is right, from a place of wisdom and grace. As peace takes precedence over pride, your very presence becomes a testimony. Those who witness your calm amidst chaos see a strength that cannot be broken by insult or disrespect. Your silence speaks volumes. It declares that you are a person who values the sanctity of peace far beyond the fleeting satisfaction of being right. This is the mark of a soul refined by trials, tempered by wisdom, and anchored in dignity. Beloved, when you find peace more precious than pride, you embrace a divine secret, that the quiet heart is often the strongest heart. In choosing silence after disrespect, you are not surrendering, but conquering. You are guarding your peace, preserving your dignity, and walking in a strength that the world cannot understand, but will one day admire. In the wake of disrespect, the heart often yearns for immediate justice, a swift and decisive reply that will set the record straight and silence the offender. But wisdom whispers a different counsel, a counsel that calls for patience and restraint, reminding us that time is the great revealer of truth. When you choose to stay quiet after being wronged, you step into a divine rhythm, trusting that what is hidden in the moment will be unveiled by the passing of days. This awareness is a sign that your spirit is maturing beyond the need for instant vindication. The impatience to respond quickly is often born from pride or fear, a desperate desire to protect one's reputation or avoid the discomfort of humiliation. Yet those who understand the value of time know that rushing to defend oneself can muddy the waters rather than clarify them. Words spoken in haste may add confusion where clarity is needed, while silence, like the gentle flow of a river, allows truth to settle and emerge naturally. To wait is not to be passive, but to participate in a divine unfolding that no human force can rush or control. This awareness of time's power also guards against the trap of misjudgment. When emotions run high, perceptions can become distorted, and the story told by anger may not be the true story at all. By choosing silence, you allow the fog of emotion to lift, enabling you and others to see the situation in its full and proper light. Time becomes a healer that tempers wounds and a lens that sharpens understanding. In this way, your quiet endurance preserves not only your peace, but also your clarity. Moreover, to recognize that time reveals truth is to place your trust in a process greater than yourself. It is an act of faith, faith that justice, honor, and clarity will emerge in their appointed season. This trust frees you from the burden of defending your integrity at every insult, allowing you to rest in the confidence that your character will stand when all is made known. Such trust is a mark of a soul that is secure, grounded not in the fleeting opinions of others, but in the steadfastness of truth. In silence, you become a witness to the unfolding of divine justice. You let the clock work on behalf of what is right, knowing that time exposes the falsehoods, the hypocrisies, and the hidden motives that often accompany disrespect. This patience is a shield, protecting you from the bitter fruit of hasty retaliation and the regret that so often follows rash words. You choose to be an observer rather than a combatant, confident that truth will have its day. There is also a profound humility in this sign. It acknowledges that you do not have all the answers or control over how events will unfold. You submit your desire for immediate vindication to the greater wisdom of the unseen hand that guides the course of time. This humility does not diminish you. Rather, it elevates you above the fray, placing you in a position of quiet authority that commands respect not through loud protest, but through steadfast dignity. Patience with time sharpens your discernment. It allows you to see who truly values you, who stands with you when the heat of conflict cools, and who was merely a passerby in your life. In this season of silence, relationships are tested and revealed. Some will fall away, unable to withstand the pressure, while others will emerge stronger, bound by genuine respect and understanding. By staying quiet, you give the gift of time to these relationships, allowing their true nature to be seen. The awareness that time reveals truth also brings peace to the restless mind. It quiets the noise of anxious speculation and the turmoil of imagined scenarios. Instead of being consumed by what-ifs and worst-case stories, you anchor yourself in the present moment. Confident that clarity will come, this peace is a balm to the soul, allowing you to live fully despite the pain of disrespect, trusting that all things will be made right in their season. In the end, choosing silence and trusting time is a declaration of strength. It says, "I am not defined by the moment's insult, but by the enduring truth of my character." It turns away the urge to fight on the battlefield of words, and instead places your trust in a higher order, one that values patience, dignity, and the quiet unveiling of reality. This is no small thing, but a mark of a spirit refined by trial and made strong through grace. Beloved, when you recognize that time reveals truth, You are walking in a powerful wisdom few possess. You are choosing the harder path, the path of silence, patience, and trust. But it is on this path that true honor is found. Your quiet endurance will not be forgotten, and your peace will be your testimony long after the noise of disrespect has faded. When disrespect strikes, the heart instinctively wants to retaliate, to take up arms with words sharp and cutting, to defend honor with the fire of indignation. Yet the wise soul learns that there is a power greater than that of spoken revenge, a power found in silence. This silence is not a weapon to wound others, but a shield to protect the spirit. It guards the heart against the corrosive poison of bitterness, and prevents the destruction that often follows a hasty reply. The silence you choose after being wronged is a conscious fortress. It stands firm between you and the temptation to react out of hurt or anger. In this protective quiet your soul finds rest, and your dignity remains intact. Unlike words spoken in haste, which can open wounds and invite further conflict, your silence closes the door to escalation. It says, "I will not be dragged into the chaos of insult." And in that refusal lies great strength. This shield of silence is often misunderstood. Many see silence as submission, a sign that one has been defeated or that injustice has prevailed. But those who have walked the path of restraint know better. Silence in the face of disrespect is a declaration that you will not be defined by another's cruelty. It is a refusal to let the offense penetrate your core or to give power to the hand that struck you. In this way, silence is a boundary, a sacred line drawn around your peace. As a shield, silence also protects your future. Words spoken in anger are like arrows launched without aim. They often return to wound the one who fired them. Regret follows quickly after harsh words, and relationships can be shattered beyond repair. By choosing to remain silent, you safeguard your reputation and your connections with others. You keep the door open for reconciliation and understanding, for peace rather than division. This silence is not passive but active, a purposeful and powerful choice. It requires the strength to resist the natural urge to respond, and the wisdom to know when speech will harm more than heal. In the stillness of silence, the soul gathers strength, collects its thoughts, and prepares for the right moment to speak, if speaking is necessary at all. It is the calm before the storm that allows for clarity and measured response. Moreover, this shield of silence reflects a spirit that is confident in its own worth. It says, "I do not need to defend myself with loud words because my value is known and unshaken." Such confidence frees you from the chains of external approval and the need to prove yourself to those who would demean you. It roots you in a dignity that cannot be taken away by insult or disrespect. The silence that shields also invites reflection. It is in these quiet moments that you can examine the offense without the cloud of immediate emotion. You gain perspective and insight, discovering what, if any, response is truly necessary. Sometimes the best answer is no answer at all. Sometimes the silence itself speaks more powerfully than any words could, showing restraint, wisdom, and grace. In this silence you protect not only yourself, but also the one who disrespected you. Retaliation often escalates conflict, creating enemies where perhaps misunderstanding or pain were at the root. By holding your tongue, you open the door for healing rather than hatred, for peace rather than perpetual strife. This shield of silence is a testament to a heart that chooses mercy over vengeance. Furthermore, silence shields your heart from the corrosive effects of bitterness. When words fly in anger, bitterness takes root quickly and grows like a poisonous weed. But silence, like a clean garden, resists that growth. It preserves the soil of your soul so that peace, joy, and hope may flourish. To remain quiet after disrespect is to protect your heart from being hardened or broken by offense. This shield also teaches others around you a lesson in dignity. When you refuse to respond to disrespect with anger or harsh words, you set a standard for how to carry oneself in times of trial. Your silent strength challenges the world's expectation of retaliation and models a higher way, one of grace, patience, and quiet power. In this, you become a light in the darkness of conflict. The power of silence as a shield is revealed over time. At first, it may seem that speaking out loudly would be more satisfying, but soon it becomes clear that those who rush to defend themselves often become their own worst enemies. Your silence, however, stands as a bulwark against unnecessary pain and confusion. It holds you safe while the storm passes, and allows you to emerge whole and unscathed. Finally, beloved, when your silence becomes a shield, you are walking in a divine wisdom that few understand but many admire. You are choosing strength over strife, peace over pride, and honor over offense. In this sacred silence you protect your soul, preserve your dignity, and prepare to rise above the disrespect that sought to bring you low. This is no small victory. It is a triumph of the Spirit that marks the truly strong. When disrespect pierces the heart, the natural cry of the flesh is to respond, loudly, fiercely, and without restraint. Yet, the soul that is being prepared for something great learns to find strength in silence. This strength is often mistaken for weakness by the world, but true power does not always roar. Sometimes it rests quietly, steady and unshaken beneath the surface. To stay silent after being wronged is to walk a path of deep courage, one that defies the clamor of immediate reaction and embraces a higher wisdom. There is a profound strength in holding your peace when every fiber of your being urges you to speak out. It is the strength of restraint, the power to govern your tongue and emotions rather than be governed by them. This mastery is not easily attained. It is forged in the fires of trial and refined through patient endurance. The silent soul stands like a mountain, unmoved by the tempest, firm and resolute in the face of disrespect. This strength comes from an inner wellspring, a source deeper than circumstance or insult. It is rooted in an unshakable confidence that your worth is not determined by others' words or actions. When you find strength in silence, you declare to the world that your identity and value rest on a foundation that cannot be shaken by offense. This quiet confidence is far more powerful than any loud defense, for it cannot be diminished by another's attack. To find strength in silence is also to refuse to be drawn into the chaos of conflict. The world often praises those who fight back aggressively, mistaking noise for power. But the truly strong soul recognizes the cost of such battles. Relationships broken, reputations damaged, peace lost. Instead, strength in silence chooses the path of peace, refusing to engage in destructive warfare of words. This choice requires courage, for it is countercultural and often misunderstood. Furthermore, this strength nurtures resilience. Each time you choose silence over reaction, you build endurance and deepen your capacity to withstand hardship. You become like a tree planted by streams of water, steady, nourished, and growing stronger through seasons of drought and storm. The more you embrace silent strength, the less vulnerable you become to the assaults of disrespect and offense. Silent strength is also a shield against regret. Words spoken in haste can wound deeply. and leave scars that take years to heal. By choosing silence, you protect yourself from the consequences of rash speech and the guilt that so often follows. This restraint preserves your integrity and honors the dignity of all involved, even those who have wronged you. The strength found in silence is not cold or indifferent. It is a warm, deliberate power that reflects maturity and grace. It is the strength to listen rather than speak, to observe rather than react, and to understand rather than judge. Such strength opens the door for wisdom to enter, allowing you to respond, if at all, from a place of clarity and love rather than anger or pride. This strength also demonstrates an extraordinary self-control. It is no small thing to tame the tongue and quiet the spirit when insulted. It requires daily discipline, prayer, and resolve. The one who finds strength in silence practices this discipline continually, growing in the ability to bear wrongs without bitterness and to hold peace in the midst of turmoil. Moreover, this silent strength teaches humility. It acknowledges that not every battle is yours to fight, that sometimes the greatest victory is found in letting go. It humbles the spirit, reminding it that true power is not in dominating others, but in mastering oneself. This humility does not weaken, but empowers, allowing you to rise above offense and walk in freedom. In the silence, your strength also becomes a testimony to those around you. It speaks louder than words ever could. People see a calmness that cannot be explained by circumstance alone, a peace that transcends the moment's insults. This silent power draws others in, inspiring respect and admiration, and sometimes even prompting those who would disrespect to reconsider their ways. Your silent strength cultivates patience as well. Patience to wait for the right time to speak, if speaking is needed at all, and patience to endure the pain of disrespect without falling apart. This patience refines your character, and shapes you into a person of great endurance and grace, ready for the greater things ahead. This strength in silence is also an act of faith, a faith that justice will come in due time, that your dignity is preserved by a higher power, and that the present moment's insult does not define your eternal worth. This faith fuels your silent endurance, allowing you to hold fast even when the road is rough and the wounds are fresh. Beloved, when you find strength in silence rather than weakness, you embody a rare and precious power. You move through the world not with the clamor of the proud, but with the quiet dignity of the truly strong. Your silence is a fortress, your peace a testimony, and your strength a beacon that shines brightly in a noisy and troubled world. Remember, silence is not the absence of power. It is power restrained and wisely wielded. In the sacred quiet, you prepare yourself for what is to come, standing tall and unshaken, a testament to the strength that comes from within